the floor joist to the band board. Now, what is the band board? The band board is two different, we got band boards. It is the perimeter board, whether it be the one attached to the house or the ones going on the sides or the one on the front of your deck. That's called your band board. But on the house side, what we want to see is we want to make sure that we got our bolts. Look at my bolts here. Now these bolts are starting to rust. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But you want to make sure that when I'm seeing rusting, that means I'm starting to lose some of my structural integrity. That's pretty important stuff. And then you come over here to look at this picture here. And what I'm showing here is now with the new code, when the band board is up against the house, we like to see some metal flashing where it literally flashes that water coming down from the outside of your house, down underneath your deck and outside of your band board. Now this is all treated wood here, which I think you should always get treated wood for the substructure, your joist, your band board. Okay, and if you don't like that look, then a lot of us times what we'll do is we'll put a trim board or a pretty fascia board around it. And even when we're doing composite materials, we're still using wood substructure. The structure of the unit, the support structure, will still be wood. So we're still not to that part yet where we could use some composite materials. We could have actually on our post. There are some composite, great materials, but they're rather expensive, and unless you have a theme to your particular deck, you know, you're trying to achieve, most people never do it. But what I want you to look at right there is making sure that it's flashing. You don't see any kind of deterioration or anything. And of course, these are my hangers, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's go on down here. Let's look at a little bit more of this floor joist to the floor joist to the fasteners. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. Here's one of my joist hangers or joist right here. See how it's deteriorating and rotting. The same word right here. And you know, you're not going to be able. That's my stair stringer here. But you're not going to be able to really hang anything up on here. Now, new codes say that on stairs you'd like to see a metal strap. I think it's a great idea. I really do. Case of a fire, running from my joist, that's my stringer here, and run that up on my band board. Now on new construction, we have anti-sway bars that are being installed, you know, so you don't help stop on that wobbling. But if you're looking at your deck because you think it's probably getting wore out or showing age, you probably don't have that. But it is an absolute wonderful thing to do if you're starting to get a little swaying on your deck. You can do that at any time. It doesn't have to be done only with a brand new deck. It can be retrofitted. So you want to make sure you take care of that and see how that's working. But you can do that extra. Now look here. Now what I got here is this is my support post to my handrail, right? And then this is my band board coming around here. They got it doubled. And you see how it's all rotted? I mean, it's just literally deteriorated. Well, what do you think that's going to hold? You know, that won't even hold a nail. As a matter of fact, that's so bad, I don't even think a termite would want that. And termites love, and carpenter bees love cedar. They're not so big into the treated wood, because we'll talk about that in just a minute too. But you want to make sure that if that's deteriorated like that, now outside mold, and this does have some mold happening, so anybody hits it in the comments and say, what about the mold? Yeah, but outside mold, well, for us in the Midwest and in the southern states, we all live with the mold on the outside. That's part of life. More of you folks in the drier area, if you see mold like that, then you got another problem happening that you need to look at to make sure. But now, I want to back up here real quick to another one here, and then we'll come back here. I want to go back to my bolts here. Now you see these bolts that we got. These bolts, they actually go in from my inside band board, and it go all the way into the house, and it ties my house and my deck together. And that's the connection that we make right there. Now, them bolts do rust out. But what we did have in the early 2000s is we had a change of material in how we actually made our treated wood. And because the old treated wood was treated with arsenic, so they kind of got away from that to this new, because this is what the government always does. When the government comes to tell you they're coming to help, watch out. Well, that's what happened here. You know, yeah, arsenic's bad, but this new material is even more hazardous. It's so hazardous that for the first couple of years, people were actually putting in the same bolts like this here right into our band board, right into our home. But that material was so caustic, it literally ate the bolts away. I'm not kidding you. It literally ate the bolts. And people didn't even realize it, and then the decks were falling. So now we put it. Then they went to a double dipped galvanized material bolts, and now all the materials that you got are pretty much made for the new treated wood. But if you got an older deck, this is something that's very, very important, and you don't know who put what in. And somebody, maybe they patched it, and maybe when they patched it, they put in the wrong bolts. So be looking for that rusting. That's a dead giveaway for problems. All right, so let's move on down here a little bit more, and let's get them back. But that was really important for you to know that. All right, come on here. Let's do this here. All right, now I wanted to show you here. Now here's a joist hanger, and now look how this is all deteriorated away. For one, this joist hanger was not designed for this joist. See, that's too short. This joist hanger was designed for another size of joist hanger or joist. And we see this all the time. What happens is, and it's not code compliant, but back so many people, decks are a do-it-yourselfer project, and so we have a lot of people building them, and they don't get permits. I'm not one way or another. That's your business. But if you're going to do it, I don't know if I'm as concerned about you getting a permit as I'm concerned about you doing it as safe as possible, not just for you, but for the longevity. But so you want to make sure you get the right post or the right hangers for that. And now look here, this whole galvanized post is starting to deteriorate. I got some better pictures of that. But look at that. I mean, this hanger needs replaced. This board here needs to be corrected. You're going to have to do some work to that. It is no longer safe. But we're going to get into some better ones. Here we go. Look at this. Now these are some old-fashioned joist hangers. And look at cedar. Now, all in all, this one hung in here pretty good for them being cedar joist. But now look, my hangers are getting rusted away. Now, of course, at the base. Well, that's kind of where my pressure's at. And that's not a very good thing happening here. Look at this one. This is even worse. Actually, this was so bad that this deck was not safe to be on. And then you can see the gap, my band board to my foundation. See that? Well, that gap right there. Now, I don't mind the gap. That's probably good. Let the water, any water get in through there, get out of it. But it's just another one of our problems to be looking at. Now, I want to move on to the next. Oh, look at this nail here, because I want to talk about these a little bit more. See how that nail is right here? All right, we'll talk about that. Now, see my nails. This is the same decking here, but the same type hangers. But now, see, I got these rusted old nails. How come? Is it because of the wrong material, or did I use double dip nails? Well, what happened is we have joist hanger nails. We have specific nails designed for this, and it's no kidding if you don't use the right ones. And folks, I have to say, I'm embarrassingly going to sit here and say I did not know any better back in 1970. I don't even know we had joist hanger nails back then. We just used roofing nails a lot of times. But if a guy had a few extra 16 sinkers in his tool bag and he run out of the roofing nails, he would just throw them in there. Well, then they would rust away. We didn't know that at the time. We didn't know it'd be like this. Then they rust away. Then you have no support. So you got rusted nails, make sure that you replace them. If your hangers are good, okay, fine. But if not, they got to go. You got to do something. See, and now look here, there's another picture right here. Now this is the proper joist hanger, but what I wanted to share with you here is, of course, I treated wood here, and I got my bolts just totally rusted out. Really? Look at that. Now my hanger's not, and my bolt is. What does that tell you? Well, probably I got the wrong bolts in there. It's probably what that's telling me. Because they're both supposed to be galvanized, should be rusting at the same kind of time, but it's not. You got the right nails. See that? They got the right nails. They got the right hanger. But even at that, we're starting to get rusting out at the base of them, and that's creating some more problems right there. So be watching for that, folks.